Hi there, ladies, and welcome back to Orgasmic Relationships. I am your host, Sharika Matthews, life coach and relationship expert. We've been told all of our lives that women are emotional beings. And because of this, women are more reactive than we are responsive. We're told that women are more impulsive. We use our emotions to manipulate men, and we're just in general emotionally unstable. And, as a life coach to hundreds of women over the past several years from all walks of life, I know for a fact that our emotions aren't neither a weakness nor are they a weapon. But once we learn how to understand and manage our emotions, we can use them to effectively communicate, overcome our challenges, and improve the overall quality of our relationships. So today I have with me Mrs. Toni Douglas, affectionately known as the Crazy Coach. Why? Because she coaches women out of going crazy while they're casually dating. In other words, she is on a mission to help single women on their quest to understanding and controlling their feelings while dating their non existent boyfriend. Hi, Toni, and welcome to the show today.
Hi, Sharika. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yes, yes. So I love your branding here, the crazy coach, and you're helping single women not go crazy over their non existent boyfriend. And there's so much to unpack with just that one statement. So let's start out with the obvious. What is a non existent boyfriend?
Sure. So, a non existent boyfriend is the man that you're dating that you have no title with, no
Mm,
commitment with.
mm,
However, sometimes you may expect him to take on a role that neither he nor you mutually signed up for. So, he
yeah.
is existent in the flesh, but non existent emotionally.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good title. I'm so glad you made that distinction because I see it all the time. And I know you see it too, which is probably why you coined the term. But we make up our own storyline in our head about some of the men that we date, especially if we've already had sex with them. Because,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, because sometimes we believe sex is a form of commitment when with some people it's just an act.
Absolutely. And, and I like to make this clear to single women all the time. Um, be clear on the things that you're doing. Um, be clear on any misconceptions that you might have, because one thing I got to give men credit to when they're dating, they're pretty upfront. Now,
Mm,
I'm not talking about those who intentionally manipulate or lie or deceive or try to hurt women, but those who are just simply dating out to have a good time, they're pretty clear on their intention. So before the sex, before the feelings, before conjuring up the stories in your head, be very clear with where you and him are. Ask those, hard questions, the ones that you don't probably want to hear the answer to. And dating will be a lot, more seamless and easy and, not cause any heartbreak.
yeah. Yeah, and basically asking those questions really helps put in the proper boundaries so that you know what to expect. Because if you're expecting your non existent boyfriend to act and treat you like a real boyfriend who has verbally committed to you, there's going to be a lot of expectation. You're going to get emotionally tied to someone who did not invite you to emotionally tie with him, right?
Exactly. And, and I'm not jabbing single women here, but
Yeah.
oftentimes, and I'll include myself, when I was a lot younger, we like to put all the blame on men. How could you? Why did you? And, we got to step back and take that accountability, right? And, ask ourselves, why did I assume this when he didn't say it? Why did I think we were this when he never asked me? You know what I mean? And we can't let fun dates, a good time, good sex, phone conversations make us believe that he's automatically, our man, our boyfriend, our partner. If that conversation was not had, he is
Yeah.
not yours to claim, and vice versa. Vice
Right.
versa.
Right. And I think that goes back into what you're saying. You're helping single women not go crazy when they're dating. And part of the what we're going to call crazy, I'm not going to say we call it crazy, but I think that's how society has labeled us.
Mm-hmm.
And all that is us being emotionally tied to someone and then not getting our expectation met. Is that accurate, Tony?
That is accurate. And, crazy is like this taboo word. You don't want to say it. You don't want to use it to offend, because a lot of people in general think crazy is, bat swinging, tire slashing. It is, but that's
Yeah.
not the crazy that I like to talk about. The
Right. That's
crazy I like to,
Beyonce crazy, right?
correct. The crazy I like to talk about are the things that you don't realize that are consuming you, that are getting in the way of you happily and healthily dating, such as, constantly checking his social media page, doing research or asking a friend to do research on his past with another woman, driving by his house just to see if his car is parked outside. Those things that a lot of women take lightly or think is not a big deal, could actually get in the way of you healthily, dating. And it gets in the way of your emotional health and that balance that you should create when you're dating one guy, multiple guys, whatever the thing is. So crazy is not always, you getting an arrest report tied to your name. It's, the little things that can consume you and get in the way of your thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't always realize that we're going down that path. Sometimes we're, oh, I just like him so much. Let me make sure that he is who I think he is,
Yep.
or I'm trying to protect myself when in honesty, there could be a couple of things happening, right? You could be leaning in too much and you could be pushing him away simultaneously.
Oh,
And
yeah.
which is the opposite of what you really want, right?
Correct. And I like how you brought up, protecting ourselves. That is absolutely okay to do, right? But you don't want to go in so guarded that, you start assuming things are happening and you're accusing him of doing certain things. And you're so on edge, to your point, that you push him away. I understand that a lot of us have past hurt, past trauma. We just didn't have luck in dating. But dating is making yourself vulnerable.
Yeah.
Dating is taking a risk. It is what it is. So at some point, that wall has to come down. That trauma has to be put in the past. Whatever someone else did can't be, put on the new person. So, I would just say, yes, protect yourself, by all means, but have some discretion with that protection. Dating is all about being vulnerable. So if you are going to commit yourself to being single and dating and putting yourself out there, that comes with the territory.
Yeah, you're so right about that. And in the words of another relationship coach that I work with, he also says you don't want to go into dating or relationships with blind faith. You want to have wise faith. And that is the key difference. And that brings us back to the topic of emotional intelligence. Because in my opinion, we've heard the term emotional intelligence for probably about 3 or 4, maybe 5 years or so now, right?
Right.
And when I think of emotional intelligence, I think of wisdom. I think of using your experiences wisely to lead you down the best path for whatever it is you're trying to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tony, what is emotional intelligence and why is that important when it comes to dating?
Yeah. So, emotional intelligence in dating is using your feelings, and using, what's in front of you, your reality, to determine, what's there. Let me clear that up.
Yeah.
So I know what makes me feel bad. I know what makes me feel good. Right. And when I tie that into my intuition, and things that I see before me and things that I know, now I can move, quote, more wisely. A lot of times single women don't use how they truly feel, what they truly know, and what's before them when they're dating. Instead, they put aside their feelings, they put aside that intuition, they put aside what's right before them and just decide to do whatever, to get the outcome that they're expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Emotional intelligence is tapping into what you already know and have. What you have is your intuition. What you know is what you see before you, his actions, right? What he's
Mm-hmm.
doing, what he's saying, and how you're feeling, right? Don't put aside how you feel. If you know that he hasn't taken you out on a date and
Yeah.
it's been 2-3 weeks, that doesn't make you feel good. Don't put that aside. Don't try to cover it up and make excuses. Use that emotional intelligence. This is how I feel. This is why I feel that way. Therefore, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just using what you have and know, and moving wisely while you're dating.
Yeah. So I love this definition of emotional intelligence because there have been moments, and even in my life, and I hear it in societal conversation as well, about pushing your feelings aside instead of listening to your emotions and listening to your feelings. And I think that's important, like you said, to honor your feelings, because one, your feelings were given to you for a
Mm-hmm.
reason. And I believe that your feelings, your emotions are feedback. And that's essentially what you said. If something is happening or not happening in your dating life or in your relationship, and it makes you unhappy, it makes you uncomfortable, it makes you feel unsafe, then that's your cue to check in with yourself to say, why do I feel this way? Am I feeling this way because of past hurts? Or am I
Mm-hmm.
feeling this way because this person is going against a value, a boundary, or a request?
Oh, I love that. Yes. And we don't want to overlook the small things too with that. Something as simple as him not responding in the right amount of time.
Yeah.
Maybe you texted him, you called him, and he didn't respond in the amount of time you thought he should. And that's where stop. And exactly what you said. Why am I feeling this way? Is it valid? Did something happen to me in the past to make me feel this way? You answer those questions, right? That's when you
Right.
start using that emotional intelligence. What is before you? How do you feel? Are you addressing it? Versus, oh, he didn't text me and it's 2 o'clock. Now you're just going on a frenzy. You're texting him, right? You're checking his social media. Oh, he posted, but he
Yeah.
couldn't text me. You're going crazy.
Yeah.
You're going
Yeah.
crazy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah, I love that. I love how you just phrased and put that all together.
It's funny. I'm in one of these dating groups. Well, not really dating. It's like a dating relationship groups on social media. And there are so many posts in there from people who say, well, I texted my guy at 8 o'clock in the morning to wish him happy or good morning and have a great day. And I didn't hear back from him till like 9 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night. And I'm just ready to break up with him because
Mm.
he had all this time to respond. He didn't respond to me. It would have only taken him 10 seconds to do it. And I don't think I'm crazy. What do you guys think?
Okay, I'll say this. And I always talk to my friends and I say, for one, you gotta allow people to be human.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is allow people to do the things that you would do,
Yeah.
right? Or that are normal to you. So if someone were to text you, could you legitimately have gotten busy? Sure, it does take 10 seconds to send a text, but could you have legitimately gotten busy? It's his birthday. So do you think that maybe he was flooded with other texts from other
Yeah.
people that are important to him? Do you
Yeah.
think maybe, I don't know, he's sleeping? He's
Yeah.
working. I
Yeah.
mean, there's just so many things. And
Possibilities.
yeah. And then to jump off of a limb and just say, it's, this time and he didn't. Now, sure, it could be a scenario where he only got 2 texts and he clearly saw that you text him.
Right.
But I would say in a situation like that, maybe if it took him 3-4 days, then you could kind of side eye it.
Right.
And even then, if we were casually dating, I wouldn't call him out on it because he knows he took 4 days. I don't have to tell him what he knows already. But it's that stopping and just letting people be human,
Right.
right? Could he have been doing something else? Could he have been somewhere? Because he's not with you on his birthday. So clearly y'all ain't that close. right?
Right, right.
Let him be human. Let him be human.
Exactly. Extend the
Mm-hmm.
same grace you want someone to extend to you. And then the other part of that I would tell someone is if you have a life of your own, you're probably not going to notice that he hadn't texted you back in 4 or 5, 6 hours.
Ooh, that
I'm
part.
just saying because, and that's the part of emotional intelligence and quote unquote controlling your crazy too. And I advise single women to always make sure that you have a life that is full and fulfilling so
Absolutely.
that when you decide to date other people, because dating is a process, you're going to meet several different men in several different ways. And when you have that life that's full and fulfilling, you won't feel so anxious about someone's response to you or acceptance of you. You're steady, you're sturdy in your own confidence, in your own life, and in your own value.
Absolutely. I heard someone say, one of the things that might have attracted that guy to you was the fact that you had a life, that you
Yes.
went out,
Yes.
that you had friends, that you were in social groups, that you lived a full life. That's one of the things that might have attracted you to him. And when he's dating you now, he still wants you to uphold that fabulous life because he liked that about you. So,
Yeah.
you just they're ready at his beck and call, waiting for that text and noticing he hasn't. Get a life, right? And I'm using that phrase just to say, occupy your time, right?
Yeah.
If you're dating and it's just one person and you don't want to feel on edge, you don't want to think that he's being inconsistent and ignoring you, get a life. Find something to do.
Yeah.
Find something to do.
Yeah. And the thing is, we're not saying ignore the signs and the
Right.
red and yellow flags that he
Right.
is ignoring you, that he is trying to ghost you, that he is intentionally making you wait. Because the other part of the emotional intelligence is not, and I think you said this earlier, Toni, it's not just listening to your emotions, but listening to your intuition and not
Correct.
confusing your intuition with your fears.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
know that's a whole boatload right there,
Yes.
but that's a part of the emotional intelligence journey and the what I call emotional maturity journey.
Oh, yes. You
You see,
gotta be.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have to be in a space where we have done our own inner work, where
Mm-hmm.
we are working on our fears, we're working on our insecurities, we're working on those mental, emotional, even spiritual blocks that's keeping us from having whatever life, whatever love, whatever success we truly desire. And that is what gets you to that mature space of not chasing someone emotionally, of not attaching yourself to the process of dating, of not getting so excited just because you met a good man. Oh, he gotta be my husband.
You're
No, sis.
right.
A good man is a good man. Don't make him your man.
Correct.
You have to,
Absolutely.
yeah, there's plenty of good men out there, but you have to look for the good man that's right for you and not attach so quickly to the first good man that you meet.
Yep. Yep. And I had a IG live the other day, and I was giving women a push to say, if you're having a hard time doing all those things that you just mentioned, take baby steps and start writing things down. Right.
Yes.
So it's plain and it's clear.
Mhm.
So you can attach yourselves to the things that are actually present. And to your point, making sure that it's intuition that you're leaning on and not fears.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you write the things down that are happening with him, with you, what he did, what he didn't do, then you can say, so I'm feeling this way because look, this is what he did. So this is my intuition, or I am using my emotional intelligence, or maybe I'm jumping, I'm going overboard. Maybe I'm looking into it because of my past experience, because this is what he did and this is what he said. And I really don't have a need to feel that way. So I encourage women then, and I'll encourage them now, write it down. Take
Yeah.
those baby steps until you can get to that emotional maturity that you're talking about.
Yeah. And it's so funny as you were talking emotional intelligence. What just came to mind was it really is the marriage of your mind and your emotions.
Oh, yeah.
Oftentimes, I remember seeing this graphic or this meme years ago about follow your heart, but take your brain with you. And that's exactly what this is. It is allowing your heart and your brain to have a conversation and come to a conclusion to have an external conversation with your non-existent boyfriend, maybe your real boyfriend,
Yep.
allows you to course correct yourself if you come to the conclusion there is something that you need to do internally instead of projecting your information, your insecurities or your fears on him. That's all that is your brain and your heart, which are your emotions, having a conversation, getting married, coming to an agreement about what the truth is and
Yep.
what's being projected into your reality.
Oh, yeah. Because your heart, it has a mind of its own,
Oh yeah.
and it has it has a tendency to want to take off, and run away to some crazy place,
Mm-hmm.
and leave the brain behind. So I love that, marrying the two so that you can again date healthily, and date seamlessly, so that dating isn't a chore anymore for you.
Yeah.
You're not thinking too deeply, overthinking. And you said something earlier. It doesn't mean ignoring the red flags. It doesn't mean not acknowledging what's happening, if
Mm-hmm.
any negative things are happening, but just using your brain, using your heart, as you said, putting it or coming together, so that you're just intelligent through the whole process.
Yeah.
It's the best way
Yes.
I could put it.
Yes. Absolutely. And I know we're saying that having the emotional intelligence can make your dating life easier, and I think it will to a certain extent. But I think the emotional intelligence will also allow you to have the uncomfortable conversation because easier, I would like to say you could date with ease. And
Mm-hmm.
it may not be necessarily easier because you're still going to come across the men who are manipulators. You're still going to come across the men who are trying to use you and abuse you. And that may feel a little hard. Or you may come across men who seem to be good men, who seem to have all your items on your list checked off, but they may not be emotionally available or emotionally intelligent themselves. And so that
Mm-hmm.
may feel hard. But when you are working on your emotional intelligence and your emotional maturity and you're growing in that pathway, that allows you to be aware of yourself and be aware of what he's doing and where he is. And you can have the conversation or you can make a decision. And that's the part that I would like to encourage some women is to
Mm-hmm.
take back your power to make a decision. Sometimes I feel like we
Absolutely.
spend so much time trying to convince someone else that I'm worthy to be your girlfriend. I'm worthy to be your wife. I'm worthy to be committed to instead of you use the information that you gathered over the first, 2, 3, 4, 5 dates and
Yep.
say, has this person shown me that he's ready to be my man?
Yep. And you said something, take back your power. And I always like to tell women, and it's even in my book, you're in control from day one.
Yes.
And I think when you relinquish that control or that power that you speak of, that's when things go haywire. And we don't even realize we're in control. The moment he approaches you, if that's how you met him and you're out somewhere and you gave him your number, you're in control because he can't do anything without your yes.
Yes.
He can't do a single thing, whether that's intimacy, taking you out on dates, whatever it is. He
Yes.
cannot do anything without your yes. You're in control. So you don't want to lose that control. You want to hold on to it tight so that you're not battling with what you said, convincing him now that you're worthy and you're able to be his girl. And no, we don't want that.
Right.
You're in
Right.
control from day one. Hold
Right.
on to that control. And how you hold on to that control is one, acknowledging that you're in control. And we
Mm-hmm.
don't mean, of course, in a bossy, manipulative way, but,
Right.
you know, making him know that these are my boundaries. These are my standards. This is where I stand. And that's it. I'm not going against it. I may bend a little depending on what it is. If it doesn't
Right.
compromise my emotional health, I may bend, right? We can compromise, but this is where I am and that's it. And I'm in control. I'm in control of me.
Right. Right. And communicating those boundaries, those needs, and your power essentially, it's not always verbally saying, I'm in control of me. You don't
Yep.
control me. You not the
Right.
boss of me.
Right.
It's about your posture.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's what I was alluding to earlier when I say sometimes we lean in so much that we start treating men as children. We start treating men as if they are our boyfriends already, instead of allowing our energy, our posture, our own self-confidence to lead the way.
Yep.
Meaning that, so for example, he calls or he texts you because, you're at work, you're a busy woman, you have a demanding job. So he texts you, it's like, hey, I know it's Wednesday, but I wanted to know if you're available Friday night to go to a cookout with me. And you replied, no, I'm not available. And he's like, okay. And now you get mad because he did not respond back to ask you out on another date.
Yep.
But part of your power is revising your statement to say, no, unfortunately, I'm not available Friday night, but how about we get together Saturday morning at 11 o'clock? I have some time there.
Yep.
And so that is a subtle way of you having your power. For number one, you're letting him know that I have a life, I have my friends, or whatever it is you are doing. You could be doing nothing. Friday night is usually my night to chill out. So sometimes I used to say, when I was dating, I used to say, no, I'm not available because that was my time. They didn't know that. But
right.
Yeah. And they always assumed I had a date, which is so funny. But but you're saying that this is my time, but I can make time for you here. Are you available? And where I see sometimes women getting stuck at is they want the man to always chase after them. And every time they say no, they expect him to come back and continue to try and get a yes. And that's actually some of the mixed signaling that we're given, because we want them to say yes. We want them to continue to pursue us after we've given them a no, but then we tell them to respect our no's.
Yep. I love that. I love everything you just said. Even that example you gave, that is a clear-cut example of showing that you're in control without having to say it. I'm not available at this time, but I can make myself available this time. It's showing him that, one, you're interested, and two, I'm not going to wait on you to try to set this thing up again, right? I can do that. I can do that because I'm in control of me, and there's nothing you can do without my yes. So it's, it's just showing him that you can create the narrative, not completely, but with how you and him will date. It's not just left up to him. And a lot of single women, like you said, leave it up to them.
Yes.
They leave it up to them. And when he's not responding in the way that you want him to respond, or it's not in a timely manner, again, you're at his every beck and call. And we don't want that. We don't want that.
Right. And that goes back to expectations. Sometimes we have, this could be a whole nother topic by itself. Just expectations that we have of men, expectations we have of ourselves, expectations of what it means to be a leader, expectations of what the feminine is and the masculine is and how it should show up. There's so many opinions and ideas and advice around all this stuff that I just said, that we're expecting people to read our minds, to know what we want out of a man, to know how we want a man to show up in our dating relationships. And if he doesn't show up as that, even though we haven't communicated it in words or in energy, then we get mad. So, he's not a real man. He's not this and he's not that. And so we really want to shift that narrative a little bit.
Yeah, true story. So I have a girlfriend, and she met this guy. They were casually dating. He was her non-existent boyfriend. And she texted me just for some legitimate advice. And she said, today's his day off. And he hasn't asked me to go out, have lunch, nothing. And she was like, should I feel some type of way? And I was like, well, let me ask you, what do you do on your day off? And she told me. And I said, allow him to have his day off. You guys have been on at least 3 dates. I don't remember the number, but whatever it was, I threw it out there. And I said, why did you expect him to take you out on his day off?
Right.
That's his day. Right. And she, after we had the conversation, she understood and she was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm tripping or whatever. But it's going back to what you said, having this expectation of this man that one, he never said he would agree to. Mm-hmm. He never said, on my day offs, I like to court women. He never said that. You know what I mean? So yeah, having expectations, realistic expectations for yourself and for him. Because if you just assume he's going to do X, Y, Z, because that's how you think it or how you framed it in your mind, it's not going to work. And moving forward, you just won't have healthy, dating relationships because you're putting these unrealistic expectations on people that they never committed to.
Yeah. Now let's take a step back for a second. And you just used the term healthy dating relationships. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? Because we talk about being happy dating or dating with ease. But what does healthy dating really look like?
That's a great question. Healthy dating, so there's so many layers to it. Yeah. One, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun, it's free, it's liberating, and you feel good. Healthy dating is also setting boundaries, knowing what you will and will not put up with or tolerate. That doesn't have to be voiced. That can be communicated in so many other ways. It could be voiced though. Yeah. So boundaries is huge for healthy dating. Open communication definitely sets the premise for healthy dating. Voicing the things you like, don't want, and he has to do that in return. So that communication has to be reciprocated. And for me, a lot of people, may not be religious, but healthy dating for me is also praying. Mm-hmm. For some, it could be meditating. Mm-hmm. And what that could look like is just stepping aside and embracing where you are, being thankful for where you are, maybe in your dating process or for meeting someone great. And I don't want to say go with the flow, but go with the good flow. Go with the positive things that are happening, the things that are organic, the things that are just naturally happening through the dating process. All of those things to me make it healthy.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly, especially your last statement. And I would phrase that. Someone else said this years ago, but you don't want to force anything. Mm-hmm. Learn to allow things to happen. And that's the thing we try so hard to control instead of focusing like your brand, control your crazy. Sometimes you want to control the timeline, control the effort, control how many dates. You want to control the trajectory of the relationship, of the dating, because I use the term relationship in this instance loosely because there is no commitment.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're dating, you have a dating relationship with one or two men. Maybe three if you have the time. I don't know.
Right.
But you're trying to control how that goes instead of learning to allow it to flow. And when you're in the state of allowance, you're also allowing information to flow to you. And I think that's the key to all of this is allowing information to flow to you from him. The information would be what his intentions are, how he treats you, what his values are, what are his strongest character traits, what are his weakest character traits, what vision does he have for his life. What vision does he have for his romantic life? Like, does he want marriage and kids? And does he want to travel abroad? Like, that's the information that we should be gathering.
Exactly.
The allowance phase.
Exactly. And that's where that communication comes in. Minutes earlier, you had mentioned the hard questions that women tend to shy away from. And, I'm sure you do as well, but I encourage women to ask those questions. That's the only way you're going to get it answered. I put up a funny quote one day that said, ask him those questions. How else you going to know if he just wants to hit it?
Right? Exactly.
Because once he tells you what he's here for, what he stands for, why he's dating, why he's single, all those things, you'll know if he's just here for a good time or if he's really looking for a quality partner. So communicate. And even with the forcing thing, this meme went around. You should never force your ponytail and you should never force a relationship.
Yes, absolutely, ma'am.
So we are not forcing around here.
It's going to be a disaster anyway.
Exactly.
I love it. And, I'm thinking of that because, I'm out of the game now. I'm getting married.
Congrats.
In less than a week.
Oh my gosh. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm just thinking that how I got to this space in my life where I am getting married again and thinking about the dates that I've been on over the last several years and even how I've grown as a person, how I've grown as a woman. And the key to me learning to date with ease, the key to me learning to date with wise faith, the key to me learning how to discern who is for me and who is not for me is really the emotional intelligence. It was me getting deep within myself, exploring myself on the spiritual level, on an emotional level, and on a mental level. Because this is one thing that I always remind my audience here is that the way that we are dating today has only been around for about 50 years. If you think about it, our parents, our mothers, may or may not, depending on what age range you are, they did not date for pleasure. They didn't date for, some of them didn't date for love. A lot of the dating back then was out of necessity.
Correct.
Was for financial stability. It was for safety. And in some countries, it's for social status.
Yep.
And so in order for us in this day and age, especially as women having the freedoms that we currently have, we really have to get to know who we are, sit still in ourselves and in our spirits, and allow ourselves to evolve along the way. Yep. And one of the keys that I love that you teach your clients is to write it down. And I do the same thing by say journal. Journal. Like after each date, after each encounter, just make a journal entry about it. What you like, what you didn't like. What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about him? Because every encounter with every human being is going to teach you something about yourself or teach you something about the person that you're with. Like last night, me and my fiance went out on a date, and it was so lovely. At the end of the date, we were walking back to the car, and there was a guy who needed food. And so he went inside the closest Popeyes, bought him some food, handed to him, and was like, I wish you well. And it was so heartwarming to see that, because, we've gotten to an ebb and flow in our relationship, but every once in a while you have to be reminded of the character and the caliber of the man that he really is. So pay attention, write it down, make notes, and decide for yourself, is this what I want? And is this person the person to support me in the future?
I love that. I had a similar experience with my fiance. We were leaving a party. We were in the car, and we saw a homeless guy at the bus stop. I mean, just grooving, dancing. He had his feet in his head. So my fiance rolls down the window. He's driving, and he was like, "Hey, man, come here." And he was like, do a dance. And the guy was like, "You gonna give me something?" My fiance said, "Yeah." He did a little usher move. My fiance said, all right, man, good looking out, gave him a little money. And, we laughed, we chuckled, but, my fiance's heart was in the right place. He just wanted to look out for his fellow man, his fellow Black man. He was homeless. And to your point, it just shows you a lot about the character of your partner, how they think. And it's just a reassurance that, they too have emotions. They too have feelings. So yeah. Similar story, similar experience.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you said that men have emotions too. And the challenge here is that from what I've seen, women are the one having most of the conversations about emotional intelligence and emotional maturity. And there aren't a lot of safe spaces for men to go to have those same conversations or even to learn about it.
Yep. I agree.
It's not often that, like, when you look at the personal development industry, the consumers are 80%, 90% women.
Yeah.
It's not that many men. So, and I bring that up to say that there may be instances where you meet a man who is a really good man, and he is very possibly the best fit for you. But you may have to show him some grace.
I agree.
As he develops his emotional intelligence, he may come to you. And you may have to give him a resource or just hold space for him to work through those emotions, to bring his intelligence into the conversations. Because every emotion that you have as a woman, from anxiety, worry, stress, love, whatever else we have,
right?
Guess what? They got it too.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up too, because the way you communicate may not sound like the way he communicates.
Yes.
But one thing's for sure, when he's ready to communicate with you, he will, because he knows how to speak. Yep. He knows how to feel. He may not put it in the same words or the same way as you, but he can acknowledge his feelings. He's able to share what's in his heart, what's on his mind, no matter how choppy or all over the place it is, or maybe it's limited or very wordy. And that even goes back to when you're communicating through text in early stages and you're like, oh, he just said okay, or he just said, all right, let him communicate the best way he knows how he's comfortable. We don't want to go crazy. As long as you guys are having those conversations, and you're getting close to or getting the answers that you need. And if he's really serious about dating you, he'll have no problem answering your hard questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? 'Cause
what does he have to lose by answering your questions? Nothing.
Right. He's willing to take that step with you.
Correct.
And the good thing about us as women developing our emotional intelligence is that our level of emotional intelligence and emotional maturity also gives us the intelligence and the maturity to hold space for our men in our intimate relationships. It allows us to be that safe space for him, not to emotionally dump on you. That's a different topic. But for him to come to you and express to you his emotion and his feelings, and you have the intelligence and maturity to say, okay, this is what I hear you saying. Is this really what's bothering you, or is it something else? You're able to help guide and lead that conversation, even his analysis of himself, to say, yeah, is this really what I'm mad about? Or is this really what I'm happy about? Or is it something else?
Yeah, I love that.
The emotional intelligence improves your quality of your relationships. And this goes beyond our romantic relationships.
Of course.
It helps with our children, our parents, or even with coworkers. Because sometimes you pop off a coworker sometimes. But your just comes in, it's like, okay, he's not really mad at me. He just went through a divorce. So I'm going to let him have this moment. But then tomorrow we're going to have a come to Jesus meeting because he can have disrespect.
That part. Yeah, I just said that to someone yesterday too. It's not you. Don't take it personal. That's just how that person is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Absolutely. So, Toni, we have talked about a lot of good stuff today. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. But what is one last thing or one last tip you want to give our audience today?
Sure. So I would tell all women who are single, who are dating, create boundaries. I got to look into the camera and say this.
Yeah.
Create boundaries. When you create boundaries for yourself, you create a space where not just anything can happen, and you'll be the pilot of your feelings, what happens, but you have to create boundaries. And I said it earlier, some of those can be voiced. Some of
Mm-hmm.
those can be through your actions, and boundaries don't have to be this grandiose thing. It can be small. Like if he texts you at midnight, hey, what you doing? And you just feel like, wait a second, I don't want him to think he can just text me at these booty call hours. Guess what you do? The next day, you text him, hey, I saw you text me last night. I'm usually sleeping at that time. But, what's up? How was your night? So now he knows, all right, she's not here for those midnight texts. I can't pull that again. You just
Yeah.
created a boundary.
Right.
Just that quick. So I would leave my women with that. Create boundaries, honor the boundaries, stick to it, and be the pilot of your emotions and what happens in your dating life.
Yeah. And what would you say to the woman who may be afraid of speaking her boundaries or setting her boundaries because she doesn't want to lose them?
That's a good one because they really don't want to lose them. I
Mm,
would say do it anyway.
absolutely. Yes.
Do it anyway. You have nothing to lose, because if
Absolutely.
you create a boundary with a man that you have no ties to, and that scares him off or makes him not want to date you, it says a lot about how he even felt about you. I won't attack his character and who he is as a man, but it says a lot about how he regarded you or what his intentions were while
Yeah.
dating you. Do it
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I asked that question because I have a couple of clients who have committed to a life of celibacy prior to marriage.
Mm,
And there's always this sense of disappointment because when they share with the potential partner that I'm choosing to be celibate until marriage or I'm choosing to abstain from sex before marriage, then they tend to walk away
mm.
and they're tired of feeling that rejection.
Yeah, and that's tough because if a man is not on that journey and not in that mental space, he shouldn't have to want to deal with that. That's his prerogative. So that's
Yeah,
tough. However, stick to your boundary. Stick to
absolutely.
your boundary. If you are not ready to share that intimate sexual space with another man until marriage, stick to it. And the man who will wait for you, then that's the man that you should really consider. Because if he's not willing to wait, by all means, it's okay. He's just not on that journey.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine. You
Yeah.
know?
We want people in our lives who respect our boundaries, respect our life choices. And I say this to my fiance all the time that we are here to help each other become the next best version of ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
so if the next best version of yourself is honoring that boundary and he does not honor that boundary, then is he really a good fit for this journey in life?
Correct.
Is he
Correct.
really a good fit to help you fulfill the desires you have for your life, your spiritual relationships, and even your romantic relationships? So it's
Exactly.
okay. It
It
is
is okay.
okay. And
Mm-hmm.
rejection never feels good. I mean, oh my God, no.
Yeah.
If
All right.
somebody tells you rejection, you'll get over it or it's okay. Yeah, it'll be okay. In the
Yeah.
moment, it doesn't feel good. But when you honor your boundaries, you always can hold your head up high because you claimed your power. You
Mm-hmm.
set your boundaries. And while your boundaries may have pushed this other person away, it's going to open the path for the right person to come to you so that you no longer have to chase.
Exactly. Well said.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love it. I love this conversation. We go on for days.
I know. I feel the same way.
So, Toni, how can our audience today get in touch with you, find out more about your products or your services? Where are you?
So I'm on social media, Facebook and Instagram with the same handle, and that is Controlling Your Crazy. Simply put, Controlling Your Crazy. My book, my products can be found on my site, controllingyourcrazy.com. So it's the same thing. Or if you want to venture on to Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, my book is there, but I would love for people to come to controllingyourcrazy.com because I have more than just a book. I have coaching available for you to sign up for, a free dating quiz to see where you are with your non-existent boyfriend, and merchandise, just really good stuff. So controllingyourcrazy.com and Controlling Your Crazy on social media.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, thank you again, Toni, for joining me here today. I have really enjoyed our conversation. You shared so much good information on emotional intelligence, what it is, and how to use it for your advantage while we're in these dating streets. So thank you again.
Yes, thank you, Sharika, so much for having me. I enjoyed the conversation. It was light, fun, and I'm glad we got to put out and address all the things that women need to hear.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to our audience, thank you for joining us for another episode of Orgasmic Relationships. And as always, be bold, brilliant, and completely unstoppable in the pursuit of what your heart desires in your life and in your relationships. I'll talk to you next time.